Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome back to the S.I.T podcast. I am your host, Sabrina, and also hosting with me today is my girl, Michelle, the Golden Link. Woo-hoo! But of course, it's not just us two. We have Natasha, licensed psychotherapist, with us. Always
Hello.
bringing
Let's
give her a round of applause. Let's give
We have an expert in the house.
Yes. And so what we talk about, she always gives us the real and make sure that we are putting out the right information for you all. Welcome, Facebook family. Welcome, YouTube family. We miss you. I'm so happy I'm back. I'm happy you're back. And if you're back, that means you like what you saw last week. And so we hope to bring you some more of that this week. I am going to turn it over to my partner, the host, Michelle, the Golden Link.
All right. Thanks, Brad.
You're
Before we
welcome.
get started, dive into the juicy topics we have for you tonight. We just want to take a moment and honor all of the incredible fathers out there, all of the dads, the bonus dads, the father figures, all of those who lead with love. We see you, we appreciate you, we care for you, and we thank you for watching. We know that you are part of our team here as far as our, what do we call our family?
Our
Okay, look, our
family.
family. Okay, so you're part
I'm
of our
proud
family.
of the men, yes.
I'm proud of the men tuning in always.
Yes. There's so many men out there that are doing the right thing, even though statistically they say black men or men don't. I'm happy to say yes, they do take care of their children, their adopted children. They mentor. I just love it, and I just want to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers as well.
Yes, and special Happy Father's Day to my dad, who's no longer with us, but he also celebrates a birthday this week on Juneteenth, which is now a federal holiday, and he's originally from Texas, so he would tell me about the celebrations when the slaves realized that they were free. So that was signed into legislation by Joe Biden in 2021, so I'm so excited that we're doing that as a people, as a country, as the United States of America, to celebrate black people. So on Juneteenth, that's what's going to be going on.
Yes.
So I'm excited, and happy Father's Day to my husband as well, and my father-in-law.
So
and
sweet.
all the other family and friends. Okay. Oh, before we get started, too, I got one more thing. Like what? Okay.
So why's she going off the agenda?
So we have to congratulate our winners for the primary for the governor for New Jersey. We have to congratulate on the Democratic side, Mikey Sherrill, and on the Republican side, Jack Citarelli. And I know, unfortunately, my candidate, Ras Baraka, did not win, but it doesn't matter. We still have to push forward and get behind one of these candidates, which would be Mikey for me, since I am a Democrat, and I don't mind sharing that information. Some people like to be private. I'm private about a lot of other stuff, but not that. So I think we need to talk politics. Politics is so important because it involves our everyday lives, and it is so important, and we tend to sweep it under the rug. So hopefully people were able to get out and vote. Again, my candidate didn't win, but we have to go in the general election in November, make sure that we're on top of this.
Right, and voting is so important, right? Because we need people that represent us, what we need. And when you don't vote, you can't complain. Please don't complain if you didn't vote. That's all I'm saying.
That's all you're going to say?
Anymore.
All right. That's it. Tasha?
We're going to turn it over to Natasha.
Hi, good evening, Facebook and YouTube friends and family, and happy Father's Day to all the fathers as well. I'm sure you all had a wonderful day. I heard a lot about good breakfasts and good dinners. So we know that men love to eat, so that's good. I hope everybody had a wonderful time. And I want us to begin to dispel this myth that mothers get all the love on Father's Day, because we need to be celebrating our fathers as well. So I'm glad
Absolutely.
that
Our
we
fathers,
are,
our
as a
husbands,
team,
our
shouting
sons,
out and
our
honoring our
friends.
men.
Yes, everybody.
So So as we
Much
approach
love.
vacation and beach season, I feel like I wanted to be honored to discuss that we have three must reads that I want all of us to kind of go out and purchase. They all can be ordered on Amazon. The first one is Rediscovering Your Worth, authored by our very own host, Sabrina Crumpton.
Yes, 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 yes.
Second one, yes, yes, yes. The second one is Grandma Pauline is a Queen with soul food recipes. So hopefully that'll be able to help at your barbecues and your family gatherings. Authored by our other very own host, Michelle Telfar Sessions and
Yes.
the Golden Link. And I also purchased upon Michelle's recommendation last week, the Habit Building Journey 90-day self-guided transformation authored by Kristen Fields. And again, they all can be purchased on Amazon. So I thought I would put that out there as next week I'll be on vacation. So I'll be taking one or two of these on the plane and for my beach read for the week. So I just want to share that's part
Good.
of my self-care. So I thought I would share that with you guys.
Yes, we're
Thank
all on
So
vacation next week,
Oh
right?
yeah, I'm glad you
Yeah.
said that,
Yeah, glad
yes,
we
Tasha.
said
So
that.
next week, the Sit Podcast girls will not be here. Next Monday on the 20 with the
On the
third.
23rd,
But
Monday.
we
yes.
will be here the following Monday. Each of us has something we must do, and so we will miss you. But we will certainly be back the following week.
Right. So, as we proceed into this evening, I would like you all to consider the following questions. How were you taught to date? Consider the verbal directions and nonverbal directions you received on how to date. And maybe in considering that question, you realize that you were not taught how to date, just expected to know the rules of engagement. As we curate this discussion tonight for you guys, I would like you to be open minded and consider that there are additional ways to engage in the dating process that may lead you to your ideal relationship. So, with that being said, tonight we will be breaking down the five stages of dating, what they look like, what you should be talking about during each one of those stages, and hopefully we'll get to how to spot the red, yellow, and green flags along the way. So, tune in, and Sabrina, there you go.
Yes, yes, yes,
Grab the
yes.
journals, right?
I'm so excited about this topic, right? Because we go out and we date. For those of us who can date, I'm not talking about you married folks. That's a whole different conversation.
But we still have to date.
I mean your spouse. You're right. But
Okay.
what I'm saying is for people who are looking for or wanting to attract partners.
Okay.
When we actually get out there and we start dating, there's some dating etiquettes, right? And so we want to break that down a little bit tonight and talk about what that looks like. We are going to have some fun. We have a game that we're going to play at the end called red flags, green flags, 1, 2, 3. So of course I'm going to need my Facebook family to help us, and I'm going to need my YouTube family to help us, because you know Michelle and I with these questions we like, ooh, so we'll talk more about that when we get to it. But so we are about to get started with the five stages of dating. The first one is attraction. So I want you guys to grab your journals, your tea, and let's get started.
I think I like just the first one. That's it.
Okay. Why? What is the first one? And tell me why.
Well, the first one is attraction.
Ooh.
You know,
Okay.
when you see somebody and you all attracted to them, you know, like. Then again, at the same time, maybe that's not so good because, well, see now the initial attraction, we have to talk about that. Could that be physical? You know, most of the time it's physical, but that fizzles out because you get older. You know, you age. You don't look
Right.
as cute as you used to.
Right, right.
You know,
Right.
I mean,
And
I don't know, but I'm thinking,
Yeah, and so that's most people, right? We are physically attracted to
right?
somebody
You physically
first.
attract to them first, right? That's
But
the first.
when you talk about dating, is that enough? Absolutely not. Because
No.
like you said, they
Right.
fade.
Right.
So during this attraction phase of dating, what is it we need to do, look for, and how long does that process even last? Does it differ for everybody? I'm sure it does. And so we'll talk
I think
about
we'll
it.
go to the Facebook people that's watching and ask them what they think.
Facebook, how do you feel about the attraction stage? Hey, Renee. Hey, Sean. Tanaya, I see you. Hi, Sheila. Oh, my God. I'm so happy, you guys. I need some help with this dating phase. And certainly Michelle, she's been married for a long time.
Oh, we're
and
celebrating soon our 30-year anniversary.
Oh, wow, that's how
That's
old
exciting.
I am. You better shut your mouth. You better shut up.
quiet. Okay.
Okay. All right. So Tasha, talk.
But initially, it's attraction. I get that. Like when you see somebody, you're attracted.
Yeah.
But go ahead with that, because I'm always interrupting. Go on.
No. I like that.
Okay, go ahead.
So Tasha, when we talk about the attraction phase, right, and dating, Sean said attraction is overrated. Absolutely. Is that enough? Is that enough just to be attracted to somebody?
Well, I think in this stage is, of course, we are drawn to what we covet, what we see, right? And where our eyes drawing us to, and that's in anything. But I think we could break down attraction as well, because if you are out there dating and you catch somebody's eye, or they catch your eye, or you just catch through conversation, because we got to kind of consider the people who date on the apps, there's beyond mutual physical attraction. It could be just a mutual attraction of like minds, of how you move, your energy, your body
So I think it's
language,
everything,
your
right?
voice.
Okay, good.
And what
Right, not just
attraction
physical.
also desires you need to have in this stage really is the shared desire to get to know one another
That's
better. So
right.
it's not just about physical attraction. The
Exactly.
primary focus is on attraction and compatibility. So when we look at that and we put that all together, that kind of expands it beyond the physical, because we know sometimes the physical could be overrated. Behind some of the physical could be some of the most ugly things you don't want to deal with in a
We talked
relationship.
about that.
But
Yep.
you got to consider intellectual chemistry,
Yep.
how easy the conversation flows, whether there's some obvious, what we'll talk about later, red flags or important factors, and determine if there's potential for a deeper connection. And I would hope that as you guys go out into the dating world, that you are clear about what those important factors are.
Hey, May. Yeah, I kind of agree, right? What is your intentions, first and foremost, for
Right.
going out and dating? But you said a lot of crucial stuff there. So you said the attraction is not just physical. There's the mental, right? There should obviously be some spiritual.
Yeah.
So it encompasses more than just
the
somebody's looks.
Right.
But Tasha,
Right.
I realize, right, in talking to some people, that when they date, and I would say it's more of the women, so women don't get me, not everybody. We tend to ruminate during the dating phase, right? So before we get to fully know someone, we're ruminating like, oh my God, that's my husband, and I see the wedding dress, and oh my God, what about the ring, and where are we gonna live? Oh my God, he's gonna make some pretty babies. And like they ruminate. So before they even know the person, now the person could be a narcissist, the person could be a drug dealer, whatever, anything that doesn't suit them. How does a person stop from ruminating on what their future would look like with this person that they don't really know?
Well, once people got to know, that's very dangerous,
Yes.
because if you are naturally attracted to someone, you're gonna feel it in your body. That's why people understand that first stage is a lovely stage where you have a lot of fun, you feel good, you feel butterflies in your stomach, you feel that spark. I love when people say, "Well, I'm gonna wait till I get that spark." They think the spark lasts forever throughout the dating process, which you don't. So to be ruminating is almost like you're living in a fantasy world and romanticizing and
Yes.
blocking your ability to be present. So if you're not present in the initial stages of dating, it's going to be very complicated to kind of get to know the person. And I've heard stories about people who go on dates and then they come back and tell me, I ain't really like that person because they were just looking at my breast the whole time.
Exactly.
Or, on the other side, they were kind of just smiling at me and not giving me no depth when I'm asking questions. So I think that rumination is it's a defense mechanism that people may have because they want to have an idealized relationship. But I hope as we go through these stages and in our future discussions around relationships, people will get the real about it, because even though Sabrina's single, she's been married as well.
Yes.
And I'm married as well. And so you will get the real behind relationships. You're talking to three women who've been through relationships for a significant amount of time. So we got some stories to tell, and we got some truths to tell.
Yes, absolutely. And I agree. And so when you get to that dating phase, even on the first date, you got to take your time. You got to step back and just remember, this is somebody you truly do not know at all.
Right.
until you
And just
really
because they look a certain way don't mean you know them at all.
exactly. Go ahead.
And they always send their representative. You know, they want to
Right.
send somebody who, you know, they think you want anyway.
Right.
And you may not even want that. So, you know, no playing games. I don't
Well,
think
well,
it's.
I think that's important. Important tag along to the romanticizing, right? Because if you present in that romanticized way,
Mm-hmm.
they going and it could go both ways.
Right.
I want us, the audience, to be clear that even though there's women up here talking, that we have a perspective around men because again, we're all been married. So
Right.
men sometimes get the short end of the stick too because the
Yeah.
women will say everything you want to hear. And you think you got it good.
Right.
So there's romanticizing that go on both parts, and I just want to emphasize during the attraction stage, that's very dangerous. But what you could take away from that is to begin to jot down what you want because those romantic ideals that you may
Mm.
have may actually be your goals and where you would like to see your relationship go.
Right.
So
Right.
it's very relevant, but you can't stay stuck there while you're trying to get to know somebody because then you're going to be filtering what's happening through that romantic size framework and then you're not getting to know anybody because you're going to see what you want to see. And I'm sure everyone's listening have been in a situation where they were seeing what they wanted to see and then one day they woke up and be like, what, where was I?
In the
Right. I
Right.
wasn't
candy,
very
right,
present
in the
to the
candy
whole
green apple.
process.
Right. And that's why I think we have the 5 stages. So it's
Right.
not just the one area that we
Right.
have to talk about.
Right,
So that's why we're
right,
going to talk
right.
about all 5. Okay.
And it's funny because so one of the things we want to make sure we do is avoid projecting fantasies. And then,
Right.
because when you do, you ignore the signs. One of the things I'm big on is how do you feel in your body? We cannot and we can talk about that's going back to trauma, but you have to check in with your body. How do you feel around this person? Is the energy positive? Do you feel comfortable? You know, if it's negative, you know, be cautious. You know, don't ignore the signs coming from your body. So some questions to ask, right, during the stage
Stage
the
one.
attraction stage, right? What drew you to me? What do you think about that, Tasha?
I think that's a good question. Like, what do you see in me that you may think you're attracted to, right? Because you may see something, and if I'm being honest and I'm dating with intention, I may be able to correct it, collaborate it, or tell you no, that's not what it is. So
Right.
someone may
So
say
that's
you look like a woman who likes to cook. I'm like, oh, you wrong about that. So if that's important to you,
right,
then
right,
maybe
right.
we can't go any
Right,
further.
right,
So
Right.
that is a really good question
Yeah,
to
that's a
ask,
great question.
Yep.
because I think it is honest and it people will probably answer that honestly.
Right. And so, some healthy ways. What drew you to me? Healthy. You have an energy that caught my attention, and I'd love to get to know you. That is
Right.
taking your time, and what they're telling you is they want to take the time to get to know you. Here's an unhealthy. You're exactly what I've been manifesting. I can already see our future. You don't even know me, and yet you see a future. Unhealthy.
Right. That would be probably considered like love bombing.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
And
like
so
the
what you
ruminant you were saying to begin
Yeah.
with. Right.
yep. And how you look at that, that's why you have to stay present in this stage, observe people energy and consistency, and try to enjoy a connection and make a connection without attaching the fantasy in the future. So
Another question that's good in the attraction phase. What lights you up lately? What lights you up? A healthy response, spending time with family and working on my personal goals. That's a person who is working on themselves and see a future. And I'm going to let you respond to that. And unhealthy is nothing really. I just go with the flow.
What's wrong
Oh,
with going
yeah.
with the flow?
Go ahead, Tasha. What do you think about
what
those
ask the
responses?
Michelle question, what's wrong with going with the
No, I
flow?
said, what's
First
wrong
of
with the
all,
flow?
you don't know me. I don't know what go with the flow mean, and that kind of seemed like you don't have no direction,
Exactly.
right? And so and that may be something that people may want to express. A better way to express that is that what when you ask somebody, if you ask somebody what lights you up, what fills up your cup, you could say I'm a person who is not as rigid. I like flexibility. I could take
Spontaneous.
a right on Wednesday I could be at work and on Thursday I'm taking the plane to go to Spain or somewhere. That would be a healthy way to answer that question if you're a person that just go with the flow. But if you say nothing really, I just go
Oh,
with the
okay, right.
flow,
I get it
that
now.
could be
Okay,
kind
so
of
it's
dangerous
right.
because
Okay, got it.
that means that person may not have direction or they're not being honest about how they feel. And that may be a red flag later on down the line
Right.
when you got to ask deeper questions. That's a setup question, right?
Right.
Because you're already setting somebody up to not ask questions because I go with the flow is kind of like letting you know I don't have a question or answer to anything. Just
Right.
go with the flow, and that could be dangerous because that also signals maybe a lack of boundaries.
Right. And why do you want to be with somebody who don't have any direction for their lives? I like that. I'm gonna ask one more, and then we're gonna go to the next phase. What do you look for when getting to know someone? Healthy, shared values, honesty, someone who's emotionally mature. Unhealthy, someone who looks good and doesn't come with drama.
I agree for both of those. Yeah.
Right. So, be clear, right, when you're in the attraction phase of your own morals, your own values, what it is that you're looking for. And I think what's really important is talking about the go with the flow. What direction are you going in? What do you have going for you? What lights up your day? When you can truly answer those questions and have a direction, I think you'll attract the same thing. And you'll know that if somebody comes and can't answer those questions, you're like, yeah, okay, this day about to be over.
Now, question: does someone have to have the same interests that you have, or can they have different interests that they already had before they met you, or are you looking for someone with the same interests? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. For me,
I-
go ahead,
yeah.
Tasha, you go.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I
interesting.
think that it's important to just be honest about your value set, right? And a lot of times, people will come along in the same way. And the experiences that I've been having, and I've been doing this work for 30 years, I always kind of tell my husband when we're having our intense conversations just about the world that we are human. We may come at different race, different religions, different social economic class, but at the end of the day, we're human. And most to all humans, I mean, we're living in some trying times now, but I ain't gonna get into that. But
Right.
most of all humans just want the world to be fair. They
Right.
want justice. They want to
Right.
feel peaceful. And so when you talk about shared value set, it on a macro level, that's what you're looking for. And there's going to be other things that may attract you. So for me, it's interesting because both me and my husband are pretty spontaneous and adventurous, but we are spontaneous and adventurous in different ways. So, like, he will ride a motorcycle and I'll get on a roller coaster, but we still can respect each other's
Right.
spontaneity and his desire to be interested. So that's a shared value. But we don't share the same behaviors of adventurous and spontaneity, right?
Right.
So I would go skydiving. He would never do that. He'll be standing on the beach watching, but he'll get on the jet ski. I'm not
Right.
getting on the jet ski with him.
Right.
Right.
So so I think that's an example of how it could be the same but yet different. And
Right.
then you can kind of find somewhere in the beginning, in the middle to nurture it. I do believe that you don't want everything to be the same because the
No.
relationship gets boring
Boring.
after a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah. 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 And I
So
agree. I feel like as long as you guys have core values aligned, right? Like it wouldn't make sense if I don't want kids and you want kids.
right, that's a good
Right.
example.
That is
That's
a
right.
great
Right?
example.
Or I believe in marriage, you don't believe in marriage. We're not aligned.
Right.
We're not
Right.
on
That
the
wouldn't
same
work.
path.
Right.
But just
Right.
because I'm an HR executive and you may be and this might be not the greatest example, but a finance manager doesn't mean that we'll clash, right?
Right.
Because our core values
Remain the same.
are aligned, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it's healthy for a couple to have their own thing that they do, right? Because that is one of the things. So if I like gardening, but my husband doesn't like gardening, I think that's healthy for me. It makes me healthy, whole, brings me inner peace. Then that's what I need to do. And maybe he likes to run, and and I don't like to run. That's his thing. I think that's healthy to have your own
Passions.
passions.
Right. I think, I would like to mention, since we tell the audience we're going to give them things, I would like to mention another significant share value, because you mentioned about marriage and children. That comes up a lot.
Yeah,
But
that's
another significant one is how you engage with your family,
Yes.
right.
right? Because everyone comes from different types of family, right? So, if you come from a set of siblings, I'll use you as Sabrina, a set of siblings of it's nine of
Nine,
y'all,
right?
and then one of y'all marries somebody who's the only child. That's going to be a conversation y'all have to have.
Right.
Now, it could go either way, because that only child could be happy to be embraced by a family because they've been dying to have siblings,
Right.
but it could also not go that way because that only child has lived their life by
And
themselves,
they
and to
just
have
want
to
to be by
manage
themselves.
Right.
nine
They
other
just gotta.
people, because if you're engaged with your family that way, that could be problematic in a marriage or a future long-term committed relationship. So I think, those three key ones. I think people are afraid to ask about those questions in the beginning,
Yeah.
but they're significant, because if you go past those, they're going to come up later, because that don't change. If you want to have kids, you want to have kids.
Right.
If you want to be married, you want to be married. If you're a family person and the other person is not, those are going to be issues that come up or down the line. So just off the top of my head, I just thought I'll throw out those like three key issues that during the attraction
Yeah.
stage,
Right.
which we know that can last anywhere from a few days to a few weeks to a few months, that would be healthy spaces to explore
Right.
before you try to go further. Because if there's like non-negotiables on those things, I mean, in my experience, I've had people come into therapy about those very issues, and it don't really turn out well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. And you're right. It is so critical to talk, right? Looking good is one thing, but we gotta have conversations to talk. How else am I gonna get to know you? You're gonna get to know me. Do we share values? Even the finance question, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Like financing and credit score. How do you handle money? How do I handle money? Are we aligned in that arena? Because that is another thing that will cause conflict. Even when it comes to intimacy, right? I might want to do it once every 2 months, but my partner might want to do that's a conversation that people should have to be fair to themselves and the other person that they're interested in.
What stages do you think you should talk finance? Stage one, or one of the stage two, three, four, or five? Like, when do you talk finances?
What's your thoughts, Tasha?
Expert.
I would think
Two.
somewhere between stage two and
That's what I
three.
was gonna
So I
say.
guess we're
Okay.
moving into stage two, which is
Right now.
Okay.
curiosity and
Yep.
getting to
Okay.
know one
Okay.
another.
Okay.
You're exploring lifestyle values and goals. I
Right.
think that towards the end of that stage, you now, the next stage is going to be around, deepening the things you've gotten to know about one another, the commitment considerations, and getting clarity. So somewhere between two and three, you should know or have an ideal. And again, a lot of this stuff you could see if you're really intentional in dating through just being around someone about how they are with money and how they spend money. So you already have enough evidence to have the conversations. I just find that people are afraid to have the conversations because a lot of humans are conflict averse. So they think it's going, that's a touchy sex, and money and relationships are touchy issues when they probably like the most important things
They
to
should
know
say
about
something about
somebody.
right. Yeah, yeah, no, that's and so with that, Tasha, we're gonna jump right into stage two, which is curiosity and getting to know. So number one was the attraction phase, right? I like you, you like me. Um, Tasha, I want to go back to the first stage really quick though.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
sure.
When you are dating, right? And I said this last week. First date, and everybody does things differently. Coffee date, short, sweet,
Right. We said that.
give you enough time to talk to each other, and if you so choose, if there's an attraction, if the two people are interested, they'll go on a second date. What do you think about, and I'm just going to throw some stats. I don't know if it's I didn't do the 2025. Asian women, when they date, go on a coffee date first, right? And overall, statistically, they're the ones who stay married. Now, it might not have anything to do with the coffee date. It might just be culturally and how they are, but statistically, their relationships last longer. Again, I know it might not have anything to do with the coffee date, but that's just what the statistics shows, that they prefer coffee dates more, and their marriages or their relationships last a little bit longer. How do you feel about coffee dates versus a full-blown dinner date on the first date?
I think those statistics probably have something to do with, because obviously if you got it as research based, with it being something that the coffee date, there's an exit. There's no expectation. It's not expensive. It's laid back. You don't have to get all dressed up for it. And so you go into it a little bit more relaxed, even if you're anxious about meeting a new person, but you go into it with no expectations.
Right.
So 9 times out of 10, maybe your true self is going to show up, as opposed to maybe you go out to dinner and then you do an activity. I think activities are better on
Yeah.
first dates as well as
Yeah.
as well as coffee dates, because activities show you how people manage around other people, how you manage conflict when things don't always go your way. Say you have to wait online
Yeah.
and things
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
good. I
So
agree.
as opposed of a dinner, a dinner is going to be a dinner. You're going to
Right.
have reservations. You're going to sit down. You're going to eat, and then you're going to talk, right? And hopefully, if you are engaging in conversational, you can have a great conversation over dinner. But if you like going out or meeting friends, a lot of times people meet people with friends on the first date, or you are going to activity that don't really allow you to engage. I don't know how fruitful that is on the first date. So I think
Like
coffee
going
dates
to
are
a
very
movie or
fruitful.
something. I
Yeah,
don't think
no.
you'll be able to
Right, you can't
interact.
talk
Like,
at a
yeah,
movie.
the movie you
Yeah.
can't talk. That's not a good first
Right.
date.
And I
So
like
that statistic may be related to getting to know somebody
Right.
just innocently, starting from the beginning with boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Question: were there any statistics on Black women?
I'm gonna tell you about that later.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. So I agree. I think that a fun thing to do on a first date is good as well. I think dinners are a little bit more intimate, right? And so
Yeah.
sitting across from somebody for about an hour and a half or 2 hours that you don't know doesn't give you like a
Yeah.
real exit plan if you're not feeling that warm and fuzzy about the other person.
Yeah, you could do like the bookstore, something like that.
It's a place where you can just talk and just
Yeah,
laugh
just
and
go.
have some fun and like Tasha said, be yourself. Good stuff. How we doing, Facebook family? Any questions, comments, concerns? Tell me about it. Tell me some of your first date dates. Where have you gone and how was it? Would you do the same first date again?
Oh, someone has their comments saying that they didn't understand about the closeness of their family, how they were close to their family.
Oh.
Girl, yeah.
Oh, so what I was explaining
what you were saying
too,
before.
like if you are very close with your family, say you have a sister, a sisters and brothers, and you usually spend a lot of time with them, and then you meet someone who likes to spend a lot of alone time, and you want to bring them along to meet your family, that usually comes up as problematic, because when you get in a relationship, of course, in the beginning, you're going to spend a lot of long time with the person you're dating, but longevity wise, you then integrate your world. So whether it's your friends or your family or your coworkers, and if that other person don't have the desire to integrate because they're not an extroverted person like that, that presents problems. So that's what I was talking about with the family. Like it's really important
Right.
to understand people view and see their families versus how you view and see your family, because again, if you guys are really misaligned and y'all wind up in a long-term relationship, that becomes very problematic.
Hey, Chuckster, how you feeling? And I think the other thing too, what this person is asking is when you talk about core values. Remember, I said they want to have kids, you don't want to have kids. I am really, really close to all of my family members, my brothers and sisters, my cousins. We are like this. And so if I'm dating someone who doesn't have a relationship, let's say with their children, they don't talk to their children,
Right.
or they don't talk to their parents, or it's probably going to be a no for me. I mean, certainly I talk, but because I'm close to my
oriented,
family.
yeah.
And it's saying something to me, and I won't say what it says to me right now because it's a whole nother conversation. But anyway, so now we're going to get to stage 2. We're talking about the curiosity stage. What is the purpose? So we're exploring lifestyles now. We're really getting into values and goals. Chuck said high school dates and college was precious. Dating now, it's a crazy world. Well, Chuck, you got to think about it like this. If you say it is, then it is. If
It
you
is.
say it is, it is.
It is with all the
If you say it is, it is.
With all the
Right,
social media,
right.
we didn't, we didn't have that back then.
No, we didn't have what we have
Apps
Well,
and
but
now.
you know
stuff.
what I would say to Chuck? I would say to Chuck for him to be self-exploratory about what was different when he was in high school and college,
Yep.
and is he actually showing up in that way? Because there obviously was something good that way. Because, like you said, Sabrina, what you said is it is, and if you go out in the world that way, that's what you're gonna get.
So what changed your lens from high school to now? What changed? I
Right.
mean,
And
we
if you're
curious to know
carrying
that.
that with you, maybe your better self was you were a better dater then because that was your best self on how to date.
Right.
And that again goes back to maybe some naivete, some innocence, but it's okay to have that as you go into dating because if you're going into dating now with all of another type of framework, it's going to make dating difficult. And that's why I said in the beginning to be open to think about as we go through these stages where you are at and how you date now. And there may be better ways to date to get your ideal relationship.
Right.
Right. Well, he said it's a crazy world. Like he could give an example of what that looked like.
Well, give us an example of that, Chuck,
well,
because you
yeah.
still got to date,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
guess what? People are still getting married. People are falling in love. People are meeting their partners.
That's right.
So even though the world is crazy, again, people still, relationship is a huge topic because people want to be in relationships. People want to have a partnership. People want to have somebody to go out to dinner with. That's why you got all these dating apps and all these dating shows. People really do want to find their person, even if it doesn't lead to marriage. And I
That
talked about that last
companionship,
week that
yeah.
I value my partnership with my husband over marriage because the marriage is the business part.
Well, if Chuck wants to come onto our dating show,
Woo!
Oh,
Look, you
right.
right.
That's a nice plug, Michelle. Fill out the application.
How can they
Chuck.
fill out the application, Britt Brett? What should they do? They want to
wanna-
go. They're a single male, a single female. They're looking to date. They're in the tri-state area. They can come to the studio Mondays at 7 p.m. and have this fun dating experience.
Yeah. And so they can email us at sitpodcast1@gmail.com. All the information is on our flyers that we have posted. You can also call. There's a phone number. We'll send you an application. When you apply, you will get the dating cheat sheet that we have. We have a dating cheat sheet. We will give you places. Dating is like walking down the street. If Avenue C keeps bringing bad dates, try. I know that's right, Shelly. She said, if Avenue C keeps bringing bad dates, try Avenue E. But that's true, Michelle. Internally and externally, we got to check in with ourselves to see where we are too. But so you'll get the dating cheat sheet. You will also get, if you participate, we have prizes, obviously. But if you select to pick a date that day, the Sit Podcast girl will pay for your first date.
Coffee date.
Coffee date. We're not sending you all the.
Well, we just explained why.
Okay,
We
all
just
right.
explained that that's a better
So,
date. In case you
Chuck,
need an extra.
we looking for you. We're gonna be
Yes,
looking
we're
for
gonna
you
look
so we
for
can
all
see
these
the
people to come out to
application.
the show. It's gonna be so much fun.
All right, so curiosity stage, exploring lifestyles, values. This is where we really get into how they are emotionally. We'll find out what their deal breakers are. They'll find out what yours is. Here's a question that we should be asking during phase 2. What are your long-term relationship goals? This is going to clear it up. So if I'm there just for a booty call, okay,
Right.
I'm just saying, and you're looking for long-term marriage, we're going to know at this point it's not going to work for us. So now you have a decision to make, right? Because we only in 1, 2, 3 months. This is the time when we separate and go our separate ways because our goals, is not aligned. Our values is not aligned.
Okay.
We don't. If I want to get married, you don't want to get married. I don't sit there and go, well, if I stay with him just a little longer,
Right.
I'm
That's
gonna put it
people make
on
that
him.
Mistake. Yeah.
I'm gonna make him his
They
wife,
Make him.
and
right.
then 6 years later,
they
so-
still ain't married because
Right.
they didn't want to get married to begin with.
So, question in the curiosity phase: what are your long-term relationship goals? Here's a healthy response: to build something lasting with the right person. Ooh. Here's an unhealthy response: we'll see what happens. No need to rush. Talk about it a little, Tasha. Come on, give it to us.
Well, typically in this stage, you would hope that people are typically focused on getting to know each other better, know your professional backgrounds, know your interests and your passions. At this, you want to definitely consider whether the physical attraction can continue to grow or has it diminished, how well the rapport develops, or whether or not there's emotional compatibility. So if someone just saying they just want to, there's no need to rush, we'll see what happens, that could be a sign that they may have their interest may have diminished, but they kind of still physically attracted to you.
So they
So you're
want to,
trying to see where it's gonna go and things like that. So I think that is there's a lot to be said when people make a statement. So you want to hear what the message is.
so that just want to see where it goes is a red flag.
Yes, yes.
Okay, one more question, and then we're gonna do one more of the stages, and then we're gonna switch to our game. So, what are you looking for emotionally? Right, that's a good question.
Right,
People should
yeah.
be able to articulate what it is they're looking for. So here's a healthy response: a relationship that feels safe, supportive, and mutual. Right. Here's an unhealthy: I don't really know. I just want a vibe.
And Lord, you must have heard all of these
Yeah,
before.
she got him down pat.
Girl, you want to do what? Come again?
Right.
Okay.
And even if you struggle with having emotional language, hopefully listening to us and watching us, it
Right,
helps you
right.
to develop your emotional IQ and your feeling words. We talked about getting that feeling wheel and understanding
Right.
that there's more than 6 feelings in the world. So you should be able to understand what makes you feel safe, supported, and mutual.
Right.
And if you're still struggling with that while you're dating, I think you need to check in with yourself that as you're out there in the world of dating, that you begin to try to understand that, because then maybe the world won't feel so crazy, because
Right.
if you know what that looks like and what it feels like, I guess if all the crazies is on Avenue C, you definitely gonna walk down Avenue E with all the emotional stable people. So I'm just
Right.
kind of throwing that at
Right.
the audience.
That was a good one.
Yes,
That's a good one,
yes,
Natasha.
yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Chuckster, number
Yes.
2. I got 2 Chucks on the line.
Oh.
Poogie said, know the vibes. Absolutely. But again, going back to you got to know what you want.
Yeah.
You can't expect to get what you don't if
Right.
you don't know it.
And you can't be easily persuaded,
Right.
in the wrong direction.
Right. So we talked about 2 so far. We talked about the attraction phase. Stage 2 is a curiosity phase. That duration is about 1 to 3 months. That's when you really dig in for some of them good questions. Here go my Clarence. I just want a booty call from my wife for 30 years. I know that's. We're going to talk about it. Okay, so stage 3 is the clarity stage.
Oh,
That's
okay.
where commitment is considered,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the purpose is now we're going to define what this relationship is.
So that's around 3 to 6 months.
Depending on the alignment, because remember, we were asking those questions before. So if I want to have 12 kids and you don't want any, we should have went our separate ways at this point.
Deuces.
But if we've talked about some things and they seem to align, we have that attraction. My body's feeling real good around you. I'm around. And so now we're
Right.
moving it into the commitment consideration stage.
Okay.
So we want to ask some of these questions,
Okay.
right? Because certainly you have the right, if you haven't gotten a commitment, to date other people, barring any intimacy. Don't be out there just giving yourself up freely. But now we want to,
What about the 90 days for sex? Is that
girl,
still
let's
going
talk
on?
about that in a minute.
Oh,
Do you
okay.
get into the good? Okay. Ooh.
Well, I
Okay.
thought this was
Where
finance,
you got
sex,
that
and-
from? Where the
and
90-day rule? You
90
talking about the
no,
rule.
Steve Harvey got that 90
Right,
day
I
rule,
know, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so, but you do want to kind of hold yourself off until you get to know this person, right? And I don't care whether that's 90 days or more. If you don't feel like you're ready to give yourself up to a person, by all means, never, ever, 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 ever feel pressured. But that's a boundary response, and we'll talk about that maybe in the upcoming weeks.
So
Boundaries.
no booty calls for you?
I don't want no booty call, girl. Okay. Okay, so stage 3 clarity. Questions to ask. Are we exclusive? Let's talk about the healthy and the unhealthy. Healthy. Yes, I'd like to be exclusive if you're ready to. Unhealthy. Why put label on things? Tasha, talk to us. What you saying? What you
Well,
thinking?
Tasha.
yeah, when you're talking about clarity and
She
commitment
said, talk to us.
considerations, it's really important to be able to define that. And then this stage, you are most likely to have that conversation around monogamy if you both want to be in a monogamous relationship, because it's also setting up the stage to begin to explore deeper vulnerability, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because now you could develop trust. So that trust is, if we're monogamous, then we're spending a certain amount of time together and we look forward to that time and we're bringing our best selves to that time. More likely, you have emotional support and stability. It creates a high instance of trust. And
Yeah,
again, none of what's happening in stage three necessarily mean that you're headed down the aisle to
that's right.
marriage
That's
or
just
even a
another
long-term
stage. Yep. Mm-hmm.
partnership, but you are creating a healthy dating process that is setting the foundation for you guys to date with trust, vulnerability, looking for the relationship to grow, protecting each person's well-being. And I think that is really important. And that should be taking place about 3 to 6 months into the relationship. Because if you can't feel safe around somebody and you've been dating for 3 to 6 months, you may need to start asking yourself that question too as well.
Mm-hmm.
What about if you want to be exclusive at that point and they don't? So I guess it's like bye bye, right?
Well, that could tend to
Right.
open conversation, and at this stage, again, developing that level of vulnerability. Maybe that there's a person who just came out of the divorce and they're just trying to date, but they saying, I don't necessarily want to be fully exclusive, but I do enjoy spending time with you. And you, if you're getting time with them and things like that, you could kind of consider that. But that's, you got to also say that topic has to be rediscussed, and I think for the individual that will want to be exclusive, they got to set their own timeline. Like, how
Right.
long you going to
Yeah.
wait,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't wait no more than a year. If you're having
Right.
Oh,
fun,
that's
you're
way too
enjoying the
long.
person,
Right.
there
Yeah.
could be potential, but they just came out of a marriage, or they just came out of intense relationship that lasts for 7 to 8 years. Technically, I would want to give them a year of time. So
Right.
even though I want to be committed
Okay.
and you may not want to be exclusive, okay, don't expect exclusivity on my end, but we are still going to get to know each other.
Right.
And I think the person who wants to be exclusive and know that that's their long-term goal should set a timeline,
For
be clear with
themselves.
the
Right.
person about the timeline, and stick to that timeline.
Right.
Right.
And then that's what I was gonna say. You got to set up your expectations and boundaries for yourself. So if I'm dating and I don't know, I tell the person in a year's time I want to be in a committed relationship, working on towards marriage. I'm just saying, and in that now they know this because we've communicated this, and
Right.
in that year time I don't see it, then that's when I have to take a stand for myself. Because if I go further, they're not going to take anything else I say serious.
So that's
because
the
they know
boundaries.
they're going to have, they can cross my boundaries
And take advantage.
and take advantage, right? And then the year will become 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and I'm clear that the person really don't want to be with you if they haven't made a commitment to you in that time anyway.
And let me say this, I could go on this, and the longer I'm up here, the longer you guys are gonna get to know me, and I'm really as transparent as it could be. You see what you get what you see,
Right.
and because I
I
live
love
my
it.
life in this practice, so I
Right.
feel comfortable talking in this way.
Right.
In my experience of doing this work, I know Black women still struggle to get married, right? And so when you are in a relationship and you've been I think by New York State law, after 7 years is a common law marriage, and you're in a relationship for 18 years, y'all got grown adult kids, and the whole time you wanted to be married and you have not married, that is problematic.
Right. You
And I see that
sacrifice
more
yourself. Yep.
with women of color, Black women specifically, than I've seen with any other race. When we talked about, I said earlier, how are we taught to date? I do recognize, and even when you read books and you look at statistics, white women are taught how to date and get married. Maybe even
Yes.
Asian women are taught how to date and get married.
Yes.
I don't think that has anything to do with religion. I
No.
think it has to do with
No.
culture,
Right.
right? And
Yes.
so I want us to kind of really consider that and have these deep conversations,
Yes.
because we may be thinking we're doing something that's culturally within our norm, because around us we see relationships that can been going on for 10, 12, 15,
Mm-hmm.
25 years, and there's no solid commitment, and then they're breaking up. right?
Right.
And again, not everybody want to be married, but everybody want a long-term partnership. So if you're breaking up after 25 years because you don't feel like you ever were committed in a relationship, I really feel for the person who's been in that relationship because you've been wasting your time and
Sacrificing
not have
yourself.
experienced a depth of love.
Well,
Yeah.
I
So when we
always
talk
recommend. Go ahead.
I
Oh,
was gonna say when we talk about this deepening stage, that's why it's important to really ask those questions then because you know what you're getting into.
Right. But I think the other thing is that, and when we talk about culturally, right, we've been ripped from so much, we don't even have a standard per se when it comes to dating. So even though Asians are married longer or have a higher rate of, culturally, that's probably what they've been taught for generations. You got to get married, you got to have kids.
yeah,
But
because
for
sometimes
us,
it's arranged, right?
Yeah.
Arranged marriage.
yeah, and so for us, when we've been ripped from, first of all, our identity, right, through slavery, ripped from who we are, we have
No foundation.
no foundation, no core beliefs, and so we are really pretty much trying to figure it all out, right? Because I'm sure everybody wants a successful marriage or relationship or a partner, but we still have work to do. We really still have work to do.
And that's why I always suggest to young women, like if you're dating someone, if you move in with them, you should have either been married or a date. If you don't have your date set up, what are you living with them for? That's a marriage. That's a commitment. You're giving your all at that point. You're living with the person.
Yeah.
At that point, you should either be married or have a date. That would be my suggestion.
Okay, we are running up on time, so we're gonna play the game really quickly. We can't do a lot, but maybe we'll do the first 2 rounds. So, Tasha, are you ready? We have the dating game called the red flag, green flag. 1, 2, 3. Remember that game? Red light, green light.
Red
1, 2,
light,
3?
green light. Yeah.
And so round 1, we're gonna talk about the attraction phase. Tasha, you're gonna ask me and Michelle a question, and we're gonna tell whether we think it's a red flag, green flag, or a yellow flag. Okay. How about that?
Okay.
Oh, shit.
All right.
All right. I'm
So
ready
we're ready to go. And then we want the YouTube family and the Facebook family to chime in
To
too.
help
and,
us
Yes,
and
out.
help
leave
us
some of
out.
your
Let's see if
response.
it's
out.
going to be red, green, or yellow.
All right. I
Right.
gotta write
So the question is, what made you get to know me? Response A, you are gorgeous and I can't stop thinking about you. I already know you're the one.
This is in the attraction stage. I'm gonna go with
Yes.
red flag, red flag, red flag. What you say, Michelle?
Wait a minute. I think
What do
I
you
like
say,
that.
Facebook
Somebody said I
family?
was gorgeous.
Facebook
Right,
family.
so
Michelle says she
when
likes
you-
that.
So what type of flag? Is that a yellow flag or a green flag, Michelle?
It's a green flag.
Okay, all right.
Sheila gives us a big R. What you saying, YouTube family? Say it.
Yes,
ask the
YouTube
question
family,
one
what
more
you got to
time.
say?
Now
Yeah,
we-
ask the question one more
Okay,
time.
we're in the
so the
attraction
question
phase.
is,
Mhm.
right, the question is, what made you want to get to know me? And a response is, you are gorgeous. I can't stop thinking about you. I already know you're the one. This is in the attraction stage. Remember what we said about the attraction stage.
Michelle said she happy somebody told her she was beautiful. Oh my goodness. We got work to do. Tasha. Hey, Shelly. Shelly said red. Lionel said red. Sheila said red. Michelle said green.
I think that's a red flag too in the attraction stage.
Okay,
I
red
think,
flag.
you
Red
know,
flag wins.
Yes, yes,
We'll
yes.
do all the.
One thing.
I'll keep the tally marks.
All right. Chris said
Right,
yellow
yeah.
flag. Chris, why you say yellow flag? Hey, Chris. Why you say yellow flag? You are gorgeous and I can't stop thinking about you. I already know you're the one. This is in the attraction phase. Phase 1.
So y'all just saying he just lying.
No, ain't nobody said that. It could be, or she could say that to a man too. You know, that's a red flag.
But that's
it really is a
overbearing,
red
I guess.
flag.
Okay.
The red flag part about it is obviously you want compliments, right? And maybe they can't stop thinking about you because you made a lasting impression on them.
Right.
But the red flag is I already know you're the one.
How?
In the
You don't
attraction
know
stage,
me.
you don't know that.
Okay, 'cause
you
that's
haven't
what we
done any
talked about already.
Chris said
exploration.
maybe they
Stage
just
one.
excited. That's
Yeah,
what-
okay, well, excitement could get you in trouble.
But
But,
Chris-
again, in the attraction stage, you haven't done any exploration.
Right.
You
Right.
haven't been deep. So how do they know you're the
You
one?
don't know if
That
I
is
got
part
the kids in the basement locked up eating chicken bones.
Okay, got it.
right.
All right, next
Right.
question.
So in the attraction phrase, you caught my attention. I love to see what we have in common.
One more
Oh,
time.
that's nice.
One,
Right. So the question is, what made you want to get to know me? Another response could be, "You caught my attention. I love to see what we have in common."
I like that. That's a green flag.
Yes.
That's a
Green flag.
I like that.
Hey, Steph! Oh my God, we got Stephanie on board tonight. Sabrina Black,
Yes.
if you are on, I truly apologize. I cannot see you, but I hear you are on. I love you. I'm so sorry. We're gonna figure this out. All right, that was a good one.
What'd you say, Britt Brad?
I said that's a green flag.
Green flag for you too?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
a
that's
green
a good
flag.
one. Okay,
That means
that's a
somebody
good one.
really you caught my attention. I love
Right.
to see what we have. That means they want to take the time to get to know who I am.
That sounds like a good man. He want to know.
Yeah, that is a good response.
Yes.
All right.
All right, Tasha, give us a
Question 2.
Okay.
Yes. So we're still in the attraction stage, right? And so, how do you usually approach dating? That's the question. How do you usually approach dating? Response A is, I just go with the flow and see what happens.
All right.
Is that
I
a
don't
red
like that.
flag,
That's a red flag.
yellow flag,
That's a red
and green flag? Well, let me say this. What we didn't explain is, I put this up. A red flag is stop. A yellow flag could be proceed with caution. Think of it that way, right? When you're
Okay.
driving. And the green flag is you keep going.
Okay.
So, Michelle, you think I just go with the flow to see what happens?
After we talked about it in the first segment about the
Right.
first attraction, I'm going to say that's a red flag.
Okay.
I'm gonna err on the side of caution. I won't give it a hard stop, but I would like to know more. I'm gonna go red flag. I don't like flow. What I don't know. I'm
I go- you go
I'm on the fence with
Okay,
that
what
one.
about you, Natasha? What about you? Oh, it's just me and you answering. Natasha
Well,
answers.
in the attraction stage, I think I would be a yellow flag. Proceed with caution, right? Because remember, you got to think about the stage. So we don't like go with the flow when we're at the exploration stage, but in the
Right, 'cause you
attraction
should know a
stage,
little
that's
bit more
fair.
at that point.
Okay.
Right.
But I'm still, if that going with the flow is going with the flow, I don't know.
Well, but people may not have the language. They may think you're cute and pretty. Maybe they have some deeper thoughts about trying to get to know you in the initial stage, and they don't want to give
Cousin
up.
Belinda.
It could be, the whole thing could be a yellow flag for them. But I think you could, if you're attracted to the person and you want to see where it's going, I think you should see where it's going.
Right, because and you think about it in the attraction phase, and you say, what are your intentions right now? They're not really gonna know because they don't really know you.
Right. So that's actually a very appropriate question, right?
Mhm.
So another response could be, when the question being, how do you usually approach dating? Is, I like to take my time to genuinely connect before rushing into anything.
Right.
Okay, I think we got
So
one
what
more
do
good
you
one
think?
before we close out. Come on,
Right.
Tasha, give us the question and then give us the response and let us know what, and we'll tell you whether it's red or green.
Is this for the
Right.
curiosity
So
stage?
this is still attraction stage.
attraction. Mhm.
So
Attraction.
how do you usually approach dating? I like to take my time to genuinely connect before rushing into anything.
Oh, that's a green flag for me.
Yeah,
that's
me
a green
too. That's
flag.
a green flag. I think
That's
so.
a green
Okay.
What about
flag.
our
What do you say,
Facebook
Facebook
friends?
family, YouTube?
Well, YouTube only have Belinda up here, and she want to be on Facebook because
She's
she
back-
said
she's
she
on
hear
Facebook
all
now.
of the Facebook stuff. She hear the conversation flowing on Facebook. We got
Green.
6 viewers, but they not really chatting, which is fine. So
Chris said, I think everyone needs to flow in the beginning. If you ask me about intentions too soon, that's a red flag. Okay, good. Everybody's saying green, 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 green. What you say, Tasha? Is that a green flag?
yeah, I think that is a green flag too, because it's really honest about, I don't know you in the attraction phase. Let's get to know one another before we rush into anything. So that sets the stage of some boundaries.
Yeah,
And so you
yeah.
want to focus on getting to know them, how you conversate together, what chemistry you have. If you're willing to have sex with the person, are y'all sexually
attraction
compatible?
phase?
I think that's really important.
Well,
So
we said sex,
I wouldn't
money,
want to be
and-
committing if I don't know how the person rock in bed. So.
Ooh.
finances,
Oh, no.
sex, money, and finances? Didn't we say
we
that
gonna-
was the
I'm
next
telling you, look, if you looking for a long-term partnership and y'all ain't sexually compatible, that could be problems.
Right.
And I'm
No, you're
sure
right.
Then
we
you
could have a
wasting your
whole
time.
another show on that one.
Right.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Right.
I'm going to do it in the attraction phase. I'm just sorry.
Okay.
But
well,
everybody's
hey,
different,
that's
you know.
different.
Everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. All right. Well, it looks like we're
Let me
almost out of
find
time.
out. Let me find out my cousin up here acting like she ain't never had a one night stand.
She did
I
not.
have not.
She have not.
Michelle, how you know?
I have
She a
not.
good girl.
Michelle
I ain't
is
listen, I
Michelle
ain't
is
that
your
good.
alter ego.
Right.
Michelle's your alter ego
have
and
not.
your spiritual God, huh?
a
She
good
did
girl.
not. You were very clear about that.
Yes, I know Brit Brad.
All right. Well, I guess I didn't know my cousin as well as I thought.
All right. Well, anyway, we almost out of time. It's we're gonna be off next week.
Yes.
We're gonna see the lovely people, all our friends and family on June 30th. I'm excited. What we got going? Oh, we got to finish these questions, right?
Yes,
'Cause
June
we're gonna
30th, we're
continue
going to
with
finish the
relationships,
stage.
and we're gonna have people in the audience. We're gonna have some relationship, real couples talking real things. So I guess we'll continue this with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So Tasha, you're gonna be on with your hubby, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We're gonna have
And
some
then
couples
we're gonna
on.
have
It's gonna be
Rodney
fun.
and his wife. Yeah, he was on before when we did the health and wealth. So so we're gonna have some couples on. So that's gonna be cool.
Right. So
Yeah.
we're gonna close it out with. Don't forget, we won't be here next week.
Right.
We will miss you. We will
Yes.
be back the following
week,
Monday.
and it's gonna be so much fun.
And we're gonna close it out with the right person won't rush your heart. They'll match your pace, meet your depth, and earn your trust.
Ooh. All right.
Until next week.
Until
good
next
night.
week. Good
Stay
night.
grounded and stay in your worth.
We've been strong for so long. Now it's time to rise.